Continuing on with Life of the Buddha and halfway through the story of Angulimala, and then we'll end up finishing up this chapter with some more stories from the first 20 years. It ends with roughly 20 years after the Buddha's enlightenment, so 20 years into his dispensation. And King Pasenadi has just seen that Angulimala is there sitting next to the Buddha. King Pasenadi returned to the Blessed One, and after paying homage, he sat down at one side. He said, "It is wonderful, Lord. It is marvelous how the Blessed One subdues the unsubdued, quiets the unquieted, brings about extinguishment in the unextinguished. One whom we could not subdue with punishment and weapons, the Blessed One has subdued without punishment or weapons. And now, Lord, we depart. We are busy and have much to do. It is time now, great King, to do as you think fit." So King Pasenadi got up from his seat, and after paying homage, he departed, keeping the Blessed One on his right. One morning, the Venerable Angulimala took his bowl and outer robe, and he went into Savatthi for alms. As he was wandering for alms from house to house in Savatthi, he saw a certain woman in travail with a, I don't know if this is right translation. She's having difficulty giving birth. He thought, "What defilement creatures suffer, what defilement creatures suffer." And afterward he went to the Blessed One and told him about it. Then Angulimala, this is the Buddha responding to Angulimala. Then Angulimala, go into Savatthi and say to that woman, "Sister, since I was born, I have never purposely taken a living being's life. By that truth, may you and the child have peace." "Lord, should I not be lying in full awareness? For I have purposely taken the lives of many living beings." Then Angulimala, go into Savatthi and say to that woman, "Sister, since I was born with the noble birth, I have never purposely taken a living being's life. By that truth, may you and the child have peace." In the actual sutta, there's another line that says, "For birth in the discipline of the noble ones is the ordination." "Even so, Lord," he replied, and he went into Savatthi and said to the woman, "Sister, since I was born with the noble birth, I have never purposely taken a living being's life. By that truth, may you and the child have peace." And the woman then gave birth peacefully. So that's a Paritta chant that we do for expectant mothers, and that's the Yatohang Bhagini Ariyaya Jatiya Jato, the Angulimala Paritta. It's quite a good one. Then, dwelling alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent, and self-controlled, the Venerable Angulimala, by a realization himself with direct knowledge, here and now, entered upon and dwelt in that supreme goal of the holy life, for the sake of which clansmen rightly go forth from the house life into homelessness. He knew directly, birth is exhausted, the holy life has been lived out, what was to be done is done, there is no more of this to come, and the Venerable Angulimala became one of the arahants. Then one morning the Venerable Angulimala dressed, and taking his bowl and outer robe, he went into Savatthi for alms. Now on that occasion a clod thrown by someone fell on his body, and a stick thrown by someone fell on his body, and a potsherd thrown by someone fell on his body. Then with his head broken and blood flowing, and with his bowl in pieces, and his outer robe of patches torn, he went to the Blessed One. Seeing him coming, the Blessed One said, "Bear it, Brahman, bear it. You have experienced here and now in this life the ripening of deeds, whose ripening you might have experienced in hell for many years, many centuries, many millennium. When the Venerable Angulimala was alone in retreat, savoring the bliss of deliverance, he uttered this exclamation. These verses of Angulimala, it contains a number of verses that became Dhammapada verses. Who once did live in recklessness, and then is reckless nevermore, shall light the world like the full moon when clouds unmask it. Who checks with wholesome deeds the evil deeds already done, shall light the world like the full moon when clouds unmask it. Who as a youthful bhikkhu shows devotion to the Buddha's Dhamma, shall light the world like the full moon when the clouds unmask it. Oh, let my enemies hear discourse on the Dhamma. Oh, let my enemies come to the Buddha's teaching. Oh, let my enemies wait on such persons as serve the Dhamma because they are at peace. Oh, let my enemies give ear from time to time and hear the Dhamma from those who preach forbearance, from those who speak as well in praise of kindness, and suit the while their actions to their words. For surely then they would not wish to harm me. They would not try to injure other beings. So who would guard all beings, faint or bold, let him attain the all-surpassing peace. Conduit makers guide the water. Fletchers straighten out the arrow. Joiners straighten out the timber. Wise people seek to tame themselves. There are some that tame with beatings, some with goads, and some with lashes. One who has neither rod nor weapon, I am tamed by such as he. Innocent is the name I bear, who was obnoxious in the past. The name I bear today is true. I hurt not anyone at all. His original name was Ahingsaka, which means the harmless one. And though I once lived as a bandit with the name of Finger Necklace, and whom the great flood swept along, I went for refuge to the Buddha, and though I was once bloody-handed with the name of Finger Necklace, I now see the refuge I have found that leads to rebirth no more. Whilst I did many deeds that promised birth in unhappy destinations, yet their result has reached me now, and so I eat no more in debt. They are fools and have no wits who give themselves to recklessness, but those of sense guard diligence and treat it as their greatest good. Give not way to recklessness, nor harbor love of sense desires, but diligently meditate so as to reach the highest bliss. So welcome to that choice of mine, and let it stand, it was not ill-made. The best I know is this alone, of all teachings the world has known. So welcome to that choice of mine, and let it stand, it was not ill-made. The triple knowledge has been gained, and what the seer ordained is done. That's Majjhima Nikaya 86, the Angulimala Sutta. Any questions or comments about Angulimala before we move on to the next stories? So we go on. Now here is the story of the attempt to discredit the Buddha. Thus I heard, at one time when the Blessed One was living at Savatthi, he was honored, respected, revered, venerated, and lauded. He obtained robes, alms food, lodging, and medicine, and so did the Sangha of bhikkhus. But the wanderers of other sects fared otherwise. They could not stomach the honor that was accruing to the Blessed One and the Sangha of bhikkhus. So they went to the wanderer nun Sundari and said, "Sister, try and help your cousins." "What must I do, lords? What can I do? My very life is pledged for my cousin's good." "Then, sister, visit Jeta's grove regularly." "Even so, lords," she replied, and she visited Jeta's grove regularly. When the wanderers knew that she had been seen by many people going regularly to Jeta's grove, they killed her and buried her in a hole dug in the ditch of Jeta's grove. Then they went to King Pasenadi of Kosala and said, "Great king, the wanderer nun Sundari cannot be found." "Where do you suspect she is?" "In Jeta's grove, great king." Then search Jeta's grove. The wanderers made a search of Jeta's grove, and they disinterred her from the hole in the ditch where she had been buried. They placed her on a bed, and entering Savatthi, they went from street to street and from crossroad to crossroad, protesting to people, "See, lords, the work of these sons of the Sakyans. These sons of the Sakyans are shameless, brazen, wicked liars, and lechers to boot. They who claim to walk in the Dhamma and in equity and purity, to speak truth, to be virtuous and good, they have nothing of the monk, nothing of the Brahmin. Monk and Brahmin are travestied in them. Where are the monk and Brahmin in them? They are far indeed from the monk or Brahmin, for how can a man do a man's work on a woman and then kill her?" When people saw bhikkhus, they abused and cursed and reviled and upbraided them with rude, harsh words. "These sons of the Sakyans are shameless, brazen, wicked liars, and lechers to boot." And they repeated the whole accusation. Bhikkhus, hearing this, reported it to the Blessed One. "This uproar will not last long, bhikkhus. It will last only 7 days. At the end of 7 days it will subside. So when people abuse bhikkhus thus, exhort them with this stanza. The liar goes to hell, like him who did and afterward declares, 'I did not.' They, both of them, on dying, fare alike, in life to come as men whose acts are vile." The bhikkhus learned this stanza from the Blessed One. When people abused them, they exhorted them with it. People thought, "These monks, these sons of the Sakyans, did not do it. It was not done by them. They swear to that." The uproar did not last long. It lasted only 7 days. At the end of 7 days it subsided. Then a number of bhikkhus went to the Blessed One and said, "It is wonderful, Lord, it is marvelous, how well that was foretold by the Blessed One." Knowing the meaning of this, the Blessed One then uttered this exclamation, "Unguarded men provoke with words like darts, let fly against an elephant in battle. But when hard words are spoken to a bhikkhu, let him endure them with unruffled mind." We do not know when the following events next took place, but with them we may close the first 20 years. Thus I heard, the Blessed One was once living at Chatuma in a Myrobalan grove. Now on that occasion, 500 bhikkhus, headed by the Venerable Sariputta and the Venerable Mahamoggallana, had come to Chatuma to see the Blessed One. While the visiting bhikkhus were exchanging greetings with the resident bhikkhus and were preparing beds and putting away bowls and outer robes, they were very clamorous and noisy. Then the Blessed One addressed the Venerable Ananda. "Ananda, who are these clamorous, noisy people? One would think they were fishermen peddling fish." When the Venerable Ananda told him, he said, "Then, Ananda, tell those bhikkhus in my name, the teacher calls the Venerable Ones." And the Venerable Ananda did so. They came to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, they sat down at one side. When they had done so, the Blessed One asked them, "Bhikkhus, why are you clamorous and noisy? One would think you were fishermen peddling fish." "Lord, these are 500 bhikkhus headed by the Venerable Sariputta and the Venerable Mahamoggallana who have come to see the Blessed One. And it was while they were exchanging greetings with the resident bhikkhus and were preparing beds and putting away bowls and outer robes that they were very clamorous and noisy. Go, bhikkhus, I dismiss you. You cannot live with me." "Yes, Lord," they replied. And they rose from their seats, and after paying homage to the Blessed One, keeping him on their right, they went and packed up their beds, and then, taking their bowls and outer robes, they departed. Now on that occasion the Sakyans of Chatuma had met together in their assembly hall for some business or other. They saw the bhikkhus coming in the distance. They went out to meet them and asked, "Where are you going, lords?" "Friends, the Sangha of bhikkhus has been dismissed by the Blessed One." "Then let the Venerable Ones be seated a while. Perhaps we shall be able to restore the Blessed One's confidence." So the Sakyans of Chatuma went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, they sat down at one side. When they had done so, they said, "Lord, let the Blessed One forgive the Sangha of bhikkhus. Let the Blessed One welcome and help them now, as he used to do in the past. Lord, there are new bhikkhus here, just gone forth, but recently come to this Dhamma and discipline. if they get no opportunity to see the Blessed One, some change and alteration may take place in their hearts. Lord, just as when young seedlings get no water, some change and alteration may take place in them. Or just as when a young calf does not see its mother, some change and alteration may take place in its heart. So too it may be with them. Lord, let the Blessed One welcome and help the Sangha of bhikkhus as he used to do in the past. And the Brahma Sahampati vanished in the Brahma world to appear before the Blessed One and make the same plea. Between them, they were able to restore the Blessed One's confidence with the figures of the seedling, with the metaphors of the seedling and the young calf. Then the Venerable Mahamoggallana addressed the bhikkhus thus: "Get up, friends, take your bowls and robes. The Blessed One's confidence has been restored by the Sakyans of Chatuma and the Brahma Sahampati with the metaphors of the seedling and the young calf." When they had returned to the Blessed One's presence, he asked the Venerable Sariputta, "What did you think, Sariputta, when the Sangha of bhikkhus was dismissed by me?" "Lord, then I thought, the Blessed One will now abide inactive, devoted to a pleasant abiding here and now, and we too shall now abide inactive, devoted to a pleasant abiding here and now." "Stop, Sariputta, stop. Such thoughts as those should never occur to you again." Then he addressed the Venerable Mahamoggallana. "What did you think, Moggallana, when the Sangha of bhikkhus was dismissed by me?" "Lord, then I thought, the Blessed One will now abide inactive, devoted to a pleasant abiding here and now, while I and the Venerable Sariputta shall continue to lead the Sangha of bhikkhus now." Good, Moggallana. Either I shall continue to lead the Sangha of bhikkhus, or else Sariputta and Moggallana will do so. That story is from Majjhima Nikaya 67. And then the next story is one of the stories that's contained in one of our Paritta chants, the Buddha's 8 wholesome victories, the one that starts like Bahung Saha Samabhinimita, and this is the 8th wholesome victory is the victory over this Brahma god that has wrong view, and this entire story is related in Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 49. The Buddha told the bhikkhus of a visit made to the high heavens of the Brahma world. "Bhikkhus, on one occasion when I was living at Ukata in the Subhaga Grove at the root of a royal sala tree, there had arisen in the Brahma Bhakka a pernicious view of his own permanence and absoluteness. I became aware in my mind of the thought in the Brahma's mind, and I appeared in that world. The Brahma Bhakka saw me coming, and he said, 'Come, good sir, welcome, good sir. It is long, good sir, since you made an occasion to come here. Now this is permanent, this is everlasting, this is eternal, this is totality, this is not subject to passing away. For this neither is born, nor ages, nor dies, nor passes away, nor reappears, and beyond this there is no escape.' Then Mara the evil one entered into a member of the Brahma's assembly, and he told me, 'Bhikkhu, do not disbelieve him, for this Brahma is great Brahma, transcendent being untranscended, sure-sighted wielder of mastery, Lord, maker and creator, most high providence, master and father of those that are and ever can be. Before your time, bhikkhu, there were monks and Brahmins in the world who condemned earth through disgust with earth, who condemned water, fire, air, beings, gods, Pajapati, lord of the race, who condemned Brahma through disgust with Brahma. And now on the dissolution of the body, when their breath was cut off, they became established in an inferior body. Before your time, bhikkhu, there were monks and Brahmins in the world who lauded all these through love of them. Now on the dissolution of the body, when their breath was cut off, they became established in a superior body. So, bhikkhu, I tell you this. Be sure, good sir, to do only as Brahma says. Never overstep Brahma's word. For if you do that, bhikkhu, then you will be like a man who tries to deflect a beam of light with a stick when it comes upon him. or like a man who loses his hold of the earth with his hands and feet as he slips into a deep abyss. Be sure, good sir, to do only as Brahma says. Never overstep Brahma's word. Do you not see the divine assembly seated here, bhikkhu? And Mara the evil one thus called the divine assembly to witness. Then when this was said, I told Mara the evil one, I know you, evil one. Do not fancy he does not know me. You are Mara the evil one, and Brahma and the divine assembly with all its members have all fallen into your hands. They have all fallen into your power. You, evil one, think that I have fallen into your power too, but that is not so. When this was said, Brahma Bhakka told me, Good sir, I say of the permanent that it is permanent, of the everlasting that it is everlasting, of the eternal that it is eternal, of totality that it is totality, of what is not subject to passing away that it is not subject to passing away, of what neither is born nor ages nor dies nor passes away nor reappears, that it neither is born nor ages nor dies nor passes away nor reappears, and of that beyond which there is no escape, that there is no escape beyond it. Before your time, bhikkhu, there were monks and Brahmins in the world, and repeats what Mara said previously. If you will believe in Brahma, and you will be one to lie near me, to lie within my province, as you will be for me to work my will upon and punish. I know that too, Brahma, but I understand your reach and your sway thus. Brahma Bhakka's power, his might, his following, extend thus far and no further. Now, good sir, how far do you understand my reach and my sway to extend? And the Buddha answers in stanzas. As far as moon and sun do circulate, shining and lighting up the four directions, over 1,000 times as wide a world, your power can exert its influence. And there you know the high and low as well, and those governed by lust and free from lust, the state of what is thus and otherwise, and creatures' provenance and destination. Thus far do I understand your reach and sway to extend. Yet there are 3 other main bodies of Brahma gods which you neither know nor see, and which I know and see. There is the body called Abhasara, the gods of streaming radiance, whence you passed away and reappeared here, but with long dwelling here your memory of it has lapsed, and so you no more know or see it, but I know and see it. Standing thus, as I do, not on the same level of direct knowledge as you, it is not less than I know, but more. And likewise with the still higher bodies of the Subhakina, the gods of refulgent glory, and the Vehapala, the gods of great fruit. Now Brahma, having had direct knowledge of earth as earth, having had direct knowledge of what is not co-essential with the earthness of earth, I did not claim to be earth, did not claim to be in earth, I did not claim to be apart from earth, I did not claim earth to be mine, I made no affirmation about earth. Having had direct knowledge of water as water, of fire, air, beings, gods, Pajapati, Brahma, Abhasara, Subhakina, the Vehapala, transcendent being, that's the Abhibhu Brahma, probably one of the highest possible Brahma gods. Having had direct knowledge of all is all, and having had direct knowledge of what is not co-essential with the allness of all, I did not claim to be all, I did not claim to be in all, I did not claim to be apart from all, I did not claim all is mine, I made no affirmation about all. Standing thus too as I do, it is not less that I know, but more. Good sir, if you claim to have access to what is not co-essential with the allness of all, may you not be proved vain and empty. And Brahma Bhakka with verses, the consciousness that makes no showing, nor has to do with finiteness, claiming no being apart from it all. Good sir, I will vanish from you. Then Brahma, vanish from me if you can. Then Brahma Bhakka, thinking, I will vanish from the monk Gotama, I will vanish from the monk Gotama, was unable to do so. Then I said, then Brahma, I will vanish from you. Then, good sir, vanish from me if you can. I made a determination of supernormal power thus, just to the extent of Brahma in the assembly, let them hear the sound of my voice without seeing me. And after I had vanished, I uttered this stanza. I have seen fear in every mode of being, including being seeking for non-being. Including being seeking for non-being. There's no mode of being, I affirm, no relish whatsoever whereto I cling. Then Brahma and the assembly and all its members wondered and marveled at that, and they said, It is wonderful, sirs, it is marvelous. This monk Gautama, who went forth from a Sakyan clan, has such great power and might as we have never before seen in any other monk or Brahmin. Sirs, though living in a generation that delights in being, loves being, finds gladness in being, he has extirpated being together with its root. Then Mara the evil one entered into a member of the assembly, and he said, Good sir, if that is what you know, if that is what you have discovered, do not lead your lay disciples to it, or those gone forth. Do not teach them your Dhamma, or create in them a yearning for it. Before your time, bhikkhu, there were monks and Brahmins in the world, claiming to be accomplished and fully enlightened, and they did that. But on the dissolution of the body, when their breath was cut off, they became established in an inferior body. Before your time, bhikkhu, there were also such monks and Brahmins in the world, and they did not do that. And on the dissolution of the body, when their breath was cut off, they became established in a superior body. So, bhikkhu, I tell you this, be sure, good sir, to abide inactive. Devote yourself to a pleasant abiding here and now. This is better left undeclared, good sir, and so inform no one else of it at all. When this was said, I replied, I know you, evil one. It is not out of compassion or desire for my welfare that you speak thus. You are thinking that those to whom I teach this Dhamma will go beyond your reach. Those monks and Brahmins of yours who claimed to be accomplished and fully enlightened were not really so, but I am, as I claim to be, accomplished and fully enlightened. A perfect one is such whether he teaches his Dhamma to disciples or not, whether he leads his disciples to it or not. Why is that? Because such taints as defile, as renew being, as bring anxiety, as ripen in suffering, as produce future birth, aging, and death, are in him cut off at the root, made like palm tree stumps, done away with, so that they are no more subject to future arising, just as a palm tree is incapable of further growth when its crown is cut off. So, since Mara had nothing more to say, and on account of Brahma's invitation for me to vanish, this discourse may be termed On the Invitation of a Brahma. And this is Mara getting extra wily here, telling the Buddha not to teach because of a danger that the bhikkhus might claim enlightenment when they're not actually so. So it's actually trying to get the Buddha to not teach anymore. And that ends that story. Blessed One was once living at Nalanda in the Pavarika Grove. Then the householder's son, Kevada, went to him, and after paying homage to him, he sat down at one side. He said, Lord, this Nalanda is successful, prosperous, populous, crowded with human beings, and it is confident in the Blessed One. Lord, it would be good if the Blessed One appointed a bhikkhu to work a marvel of supernormal power higher than the human state, so that this Nalanda might become much more confident in the Blessed One. The Blessed One replied, Kevada, I do not teach the Dhamma to bhikkhus in that way. Come, bhikkhus, work a marvel of supernormal power higher than the human state for the white-clothed laity. The Buddha gave the same reply when the question was put a second time. When it was put again, he replied that he knew from his own experience 3 kinds of marvels. The marvel of supernormal power, consisting in ability to become many and pass through walls, fly through the air and walk on water, and even visit the Brahma world. The marvel of divination, consisting in ability to read minds, and the marvel of guidance, consisting in instructing people, in brief or in detail, what to do for their own good. The first 2, if displayed for their own sake in order to impress people, are no different from the magical arts called respectively Gandhari and Manika, and it could well be that said that such a bhikkhu was practicing those arts, which was the reason why he, the Buddha, regarded such marvels as a source of shame, humiliation, and disgust. The third kind, the marvel of guidance, consisted in the teaching as given by him, which, though it included those very manifestations, had the exhaustion of taints and the ending of suffering for its goal. In order to underlie the inadequacy of such attainments as the first two, the Buddha recounted the story of a bhikkhu who possessed these magical powers and how they served him nothing in his search for an escape from suffering. There was once a bhikkhu in this sangha of bhikkhus who had this thought: where do these four great entities, the four great elements, cease without remainder? That is, the earth element, the water element, the fire element, and the air element. Then he entered upon concentration such that, when his mind was concentrated, the path to the gods was manifest. Then he went to the deities of the realm of the four divine kings and asked them, "Friends, where do these four great elements cease without remainder?" They replied, "We do not know that, bhikkhu, but there are these four great kings themselves who are greater than us and superior. They should know that." So he went to them. They gave him the same answer and sent him to the Tavatimsa heaven, and so he was passed on up through all the heavens of sensual existence, till he was sent beyond that to the Brahma world and the world of high divinities. He asked the gods of Brahma's assembly the same question. They told him, "We do not know that, bhikkhu, but there is the Brahma, great Brahma, the transcendent being, untranscended, the sure-sighted wielder of mastery, Lord, Maker, and Creator, Most High Providence, Master of all those that are and ever can be, who is greater than us and superior. He should know the answer." Where is that Brahma now, friends? Bhikkhu, we do not know the where or the how or the whence of the great Brahma. Only that Brahma will be manifest according to, as signs are seen, as a light appears, as a radiance is manifest, for that is the precursor of Brahma's manifestation. Then soon afterwards, the great Brahma became manifest. The bhikkhu approached and asked his question. When that was said, Brahma replied, "Bhikkhu, I am Brahma, the great Brahma, the transcendent being untranscended, sure-sighted, wielder of mastery, Lord, Maker, and Creator, Most High Providence, Master of those that are and ever can be." The bhikkhu asked a second time, "Friend, I did not ask that. What I asked was, where do the four great elements cease without remainder?" The great Brahma gave the same answer as before. When the question was put a third time, the great Brahma took the bhikkhu by the arm and led him aside. He said, "Bhikkhu, the deities in Brahma's assembly here think thus: there is nothing that Brahma has not seen, known, and realized. That is why I did not reply in their presence. Friend, I do not know where the four great elements cease without remainder. So you have done wrong, you have transgressed, in that you overlooked the Blessed One and sought an answer to your question away from him. Go and ask the Blessed One your question, and as he tells you, so you should remember it." The bhikkhu then vanished from that world, and he came and asked me the same question. I told him, "Bhikkhu, it happens that seafaring traders set sail with a shore-finding bird, and when their ship is out of sight of land, they release the bird. It goes to the east, south, west, and north, and up and in between. If it sees land to one side, it goes toward it, but if it sees none, it comes back to the ship. So too, bhikkhu, wherever you sought, even in the Brahma world, you found no answer to your question, and you came back to me. But the question should not be put like that. It should be put like this. Tell then, where do water, earth, fire, and air no footing find? Where likewise the long and short, small and big, and fair and foul? Where is it that name and form do without remainder cease?" And the answer is this: the consciousness that makes no showing, nor has to do with finiteness, claiming no being apart from all. There it is that water, earth, fire, and air no footing find, and likewise the long and short, small and big, and fair and foul. There it is that name and form do without remainder cease. So that concludes the first 20 years of the Buddha's ministry. I'll leave it there if there's any questions, comments.
I have a question. You mentioned sahampati in one of the suttas that closed the first 20 years, that first one. It seems to me sahampati is a bit of a counterpoint to Mara, whereas Mara is trying to thwart Buddha all the time. Sahampati arrives and is like, you can't teach the Dhamma, you can do this. My question is there any other suttas where sahampati?
There's many suttas where Brahma Sahampati appears. There's suttas where he appears with Saka, and Brahma Sahampati standing on one side, Saka standing on the other side of the Buddha, and they'll be trading off verses. There's a few different places where he appears as a character with right view in the suttas, as opposed to the Brahma Baka, who was a Brahma god that had wrong view, thought he was eternal. I think Sahampati is actually a non-returner. I think he explains he was a non-returner under a previous Buddha, under the Buddha Kassapa.
Why is it rephrased from where do the four elements cease without remainder to where does name and form cease?
Well, it's actually rephrased from where do the four elements cease without remainder to where do the four elements no footing find. So where do the four elements find no landing place, rather than cease without remainder. So it's not like they come to an end. It's like you can't find an end to them through the conditioned, but where do they find no footing? And then the Buddha talks about the unsupported consciousness, or Lampur has any more comments on that?
Yeah, well, this wasn't a chapter on it.
In the island.
In the island.
It's like it's the same as the phrase like Huineng, the sixth patriarch, Chan Buddhism, find a thought nowhere supported, or like it's the similar thing, like where does that unsupported consciousness, if you produce a thought which is nowhere supported, you're liberated. So using that as like a thought experiment, is there such a thing as a thought that's not supported by anything whatsoever? It's a good contemplation.